Hello, this is Weekend File on the NTA and we are live in Abuja. Nigeria is one of few countries in Africa which adopted a federal system of government, envisaging autonomy for all tiers of government, including federal, state and local. By structure, local governments are to be the closest to the grassroots. But over the years, the local governments have become mere administrative organs rather than delivering dividends of democracy. Now, contrary to the federal system which Nigeria adopted, their operations are often determined and controlled by state governors who not only have literally taken over management of their finances, but also handpick those around their affairs, including inefficient caretaker committees in gross violation of the 1999 Constitution. Nigeria has a total of 774 local government areas, but most of these rural areas exist without a basic social infrastructure such as accessible roads, water, electricity, hospitals, schools, among others, despite the huge monthly allocations from the Federation's account. Now, displeased with the development, President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019 moved to grant financial autonomy to the local government through the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, which consequently issued the guidelines to reduce vulnerabilities created by cash withdrawals from local government funds throughout Nigeria in an attempt to stop governors from tampering with funds meant for local government areas. The guidelines were to take effect from June 1, 2021, but the governors of the 36 states under the umbrella of Nigeria Governors Forum, NGF, challenged the NFIU in court, and the matter has not been resolved despite the consequences. So tonight on Weekend File, we are concerned about the expected gains of local government autonomy. We have situation reports from zones plus studio session with a professor of local government administration, Yusuf Ali Zoka. I am Kenen Ima Abudike. Welcome. Let's start with environmental matters, as the Nigeria Meteorological Agency NIMET last month predicted early rainfall in April this year, May in the central state and within June to July in the north. But it's barely 2 weeks into the month of March and the rains have begun. What are the implications of the early drops for Nigerians, particularly farmers? Charles Alpha tells us more.
After the drought comes the rains, which usually make hot weather to vanish. And the thirst in the ground is satisfied once again. And then farming activities will begin. This is the most anticipated period in the life of an average farmer. Earliest onset of the planting season of 2022 was expected around 28th of last month. Farmers, because of these predictions, were advised to commence planting, and that in the coastal states like Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo and Lagos, Ogun, Ondo and River states, dry spells were predicted could set in from May to August with different levels of severity. But barely 3 weeks into March and the rains are here. Onset of the planting season was predicted to be normal over most parts of Nigeria, with few areas having it earlier, while some areas would be delayed.
The residents here have been going through a lot of hell. It's been very, very hot, and you can't tell me that you have a nice sleep because of the peculiar nature of the weather. And so the rains that we have seen in the recent past, including overnight, it's a welcome development.
What could this mean with the rains coming a little earlier than expected for farmers?
If a farmer plants early and there's no surplus of rain, he may have to replant twice, which is which is likely to be a loss.
Rainfall cessation dates across most parts of the country in 2022 was predicted to be near the long-term average conditions, a safe period for the planting of various crops in line with the cropping calendar.
The crops that can be planted during this period includes cassava, maize,
The growing season is predicted to last between 250 to 300 days in southern parts of the country and 100 to 200 days in the north. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And joining us via Zoom is Oluwaseun Idowu, Technical Assistant to DG NIMET. Good evening, Mr. Idowu.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Okay, NIMET has predicted early onset of rain this year. Now, the Friday rain in Abuja, was it a signal to the commencement of the wet season?
Absolutely not. I think Nigerians should be aware that there is a difference between the onset of the growing season and then the beginning of rains. The beginning of rains is what we are seeing at the moment, whereby rain starts falling. However, the onset of the growing season is a factor of the available moisture inside the soil. And as you know, rainfall, agriculture in Nigeria is rainfall dependent. And so that is tied to having enough rainfall that will provide more than enough available moisture in the soil for farming activities. So this is not the beginning of the growing season.
All right, but can I ask you this? What does this mean to farmers?
Of course, with this type of rain and the ones that may be coming in maybe a couple of days or thereabouts, are just for maybe initial clearing activities, clearing of grass, preparation of the soil and that. However, the onset is predicted to begin around the central state from about the first week of May. As you know, we predicted that the onset should begin from 28th of February along the coast, which have already started, and then gradually moving to the inland of the south from the first week of March, which have started also to about the end of March, and then we'll look at the central state from the first week of May. So what we are seeing now is normal. It happens every year. However, farmers should not rush to the field. It is just at the beginning of the rains, not the onset of the growing season.
All right, finally from me, Mr. Idowu, the rain comes when most northern cities are witnessing haze and dusty weather condition. What is the implication?
Yes, we have two major weather system over Nigeria. We have the moisture-leading winds from the south that triggers thunderstorms, rains, and so on. And then we have the northeasterly winds from the North Sahara, which brings in dust, harmattan, to the northern part of the country, and then by advection, true winds to the southern part of the country. So these are two different weather systems. And those weather systems would not retreat in the north until when the onset of the rains is about to set in. And so it is normal to have a dusty atmosphere in the northern part of the country at the moment, while the rains are still being expected to set in from, let's say, the end of May to the first week of June.
All right, Mr. Oluwaseun Idowu, Technical Assistant to DG NIMET, thanks indeed for speaking to us on Weekend File tonight.
Thank you so much for the awareness on NTA. Thank you.
All right, report just in says President Muhammadu Buhari has warned the leaders and membership of the All Progressives Congress APC to desist from name-calling and backstabbing ahead of the oncoming March 26 convention, but to remain steadfast and maintain its unity if the party is to continue in the path of victory and its dominance at all levels throughout the country. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says the President asked the members to look at the once powerful main opposition, People's Democratic Party, PDP, now enfeebled and adrift, and learn lessons in disunity, management and corruption. The statement added that as the country prepares for the long run-up to the 2023 presidential election, we all expect a robust debate on the issues that matter, and what is going in the APC should be a reflection of this, not the infighting we are seeing. There must be no more distractions ahead of the convention to choose new leaders. Recall that the APC started out with a confidence of victory, and the party today enjoys that confidence in nearly 2/3 of our 36 states. He noted that this is a party that has been in existence barely for 8 years, becoming the dominant party because it has thrown open its doors to defectors from other parties, big and small. The party, he went on to note, is proud of the fact that in its short period of existence, it has won 2 general elections decisively, and despite losing a few states in 2019, it steadfastly expanded its pan-Nigerian outlook with significant defections of the opposition governors and parliamentarians into its fold. It further added that when precisely the party's convention is held and who is the party's chairman is hardly a matter for the average voter. Vastly more important is who convention delegates will elect as the party's flag bearer in the coming weeks to take forward the party's platform to the people in the general election in February next year. It is therefore important for the media to put such matters into perspective. No one is debating policy differences here. That is for the general election. None of the declared aspirants and any of those that may step forward will change because of who may be in the party in the chairman's seat. It is essentially the same party. He added that, of course, the media are welcome to comment on the content of the character of the potential APC candidate, discuss their suitability for leadership, scrutinize their offer to the membership. Away from that, the federal government is evolving strategies to control flooding and erosion in Ekiti State through the Ecological Project Office. Keide Durodola reports that the sensitization program took place in Ado Ekiti. The report.
In the past years, the challenges of erosion and flooding have led to loss of lives and property. As a means of checking these challenges, as the rainy season is gradually setting in, informed the sensitization and awareness program. The reported cases of demand for money from contractors by some communities in the course of executing erosion control projects and lack of cooperation by members of host communities, which in most cases slowed down the pace of work, were highlighted. The need to build bridges of understanding between the Ecological Project Office, contractors, consultants, and benefiting communities were emphasized.
We in the Ecological Project Office would not want any delay occasioned by controversies or disputes between contractor, consultant, and host communities.
We are pleading on calling on the people, we are pleading with them to ensure that they cooperate with the contractor. If they have any complaint, they should channel the complaint to us at the Ecological Project Office. That's the sense of the program.
Ekiti State government representative and other speakers at the event commended the federal government for the project aimed at putting an end to flooding and erosion in the state.
Because usually the volume of water is always much and will overflow the banks. But now if the channelization is done, it will resolve that problem once and for all.
The 3 projects already approved for execution are Aramoko Kajola Ilawe and Danimo channelization, while road improvement is to be carried out at Peace Avenue at Ado Ekiti. From Ado Ekiti, Kendi Trodola, NTA News.
Now to security matters, where the Nigerian Army is boosting the morale and welfare of officers and soldiers to fast-track ongoing internal security operations. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, stated this while inaugurating the headquarters Directorate of Physical Training Complex at Giri, Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
With this brief symbolic ceremony, the Nigerian Army can now boast of a befitting complex for training and physical fitness of its personnel, a critical component of combat readiness.
My plan is to gradually improve the equipment holding of the Nigerian Army, while also ensuring that personnel welfare, training, and accommodation are given the desired attention. We have already made tremendous progress in this regard, and there are various ongoing project information across the country, with a good number of them already completed.
These accommodations were also inaugurated to decongest army units and formations within Abuja Municipal.
In line with the master plan for the development of the Muhammad Buhari Cantonment Giri, the Chief of Army Staff has also approved additional facilities for the Army School of Physical Training and the relocation of the Nigerian Army School of Public Relations from Lagos to Giri.
The Army Chief had earlier inaugurated similar projects in Asaba and Delta states. From Giri in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Let's talk infrastructure. As the vision to develop Rivers State is steadily on course, the latest in that direction is the inauguration of the Eastern Bypass Road in Port Harcourt. Ogedinyeko reports that the former governor of Kogi State, Ibrahim Idris, was the special guest at the project's inauguration.
The inception of the present administration in the state, Governor Wike has been in a hurry to change the narrative of the state. From the inauguration grant to the flag off of Operation Zero Potholes, now to the Urban Renewal Program, which has redefined the road infrastructure in Port Harcourt metropolis and environs, as well as improving the aesthetics of the state. The reconstruction of the Eastern Bypass Road became necessary because the single carriageway became grossly inadequate for the volume of traffic on the road. Although it was meant to be a counterpart funding between the Rivers State Government and Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, but the commission did not honor its part.
It's unfortunate, and I've always said it, I've not seen a corporate body now said they will enter into partnership with the government, and then they will not fulfill their own promise.
Former Governor of Kogi State, Alhaji Ibrahim Idris, says the Rivers State government has taken development from mere conception to completing every project initiated in the last 6.5 years.
There is no doubt in my mind that Wike-led administration in Rivers State had changed the face of development from the previous conception stage to completion stages, which has restored the confidence of the people in leadership, particularly in Rivers State.
The Eastern Bypass Road has a total length of 3.348 kilometers with a width of 14.6 meters. The road also connects the Obunabari roundabout to Moscow Road and an access road to the headquarters of the Niger Delta Development Commission. In Port Harcourt, Ogedinyeko, NTA News.
Now, Southeast Zone of the Nigerian Association of Women Journalists, NAWOJ, has commended the federal government for keeping to its promise of completing the second Niger Bridge within ample time. Vice President of the zone, Stella Iboka, made the commendation when she led the female journalists on a site tour of the project, which is near completion. Umo Basiedet has a report.
The 11.9 kilometer second Niger Bridge project is one which, when completed, will leave smiles on the faces of motorists and commuters, as the usual traffic gridlock often experienced within the area would become a thing of the past. Vice President of NAWOJ Zone C, Stella Iboka, who led the female journalists on the tour, harped on the immense benefits of the second Niger Bridge.
Of course, we are very happy. You know, I've been hearing all the while. I've been hearing about the second Niger Bridge, But today, at least I'm stepping on it. At least to show that they've really actualized this our dream.
We're so happy. We thank the federal government for making our dream come true.
Federal Controller of Works, Mr. Adeyemo Ajani, said the project is about 83% completed and would be inaugurated by President Buhari within the fourth quarter of the year.
I'm telling everybody, coming for Christmas in December, it will be a free movement between Asaba and Abuja.
The women of the pen profession were conducted around the project, which afforded them first-hand information. In Onitsha, Umo Basidate, NTA News.
In the meantime, motorists are commending the NNPC and its partners for the 24-hour services provided by designated petrol stations in collaboration with other stakeholders in Abuja and Avaris. Lydia Sampson monitored some of these petrol stations.
Ikechukwu Oraniku says it is a great relief knowing motorists can get petrol in any of the petrol stations that operate 24 hours at their convenience. His sentiments are shared by other motorists at the petrol stations visited.
It's impactful in the sense that during the day it reduces the amount of queue you see on the road. Okay, so those of us that close very late at work, on our way going home, we'll pass through to buy fuel.
For a station to run 24 hours, it means that the station has the plight of the people at heart and they are ready to serve.
I know it's good, they are service well, but we are praying that may everything go right.
For the station managers, the massive deployment of petroleum products is such that in addition to what they have in their stations, petrol tankers are still waiting to offload more products.
There's the directives that we run for 24 hours so that Nigerians will enjoy the services of the NNPC. At the same time, making sure our consumers are having their product to move around. Product availability is very much.
They are optimistic that following directives to sustain the 24-hour services, normalcy will return very soon in the supply chain. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Now, on a sad note, the peaceful Maiduguri metropolis were thrown into mourning and protest following the fatal shooting of a resident of Shagari low-cost housing estate in the Borno State capital. Borno State Police Command has confirmed the violent killing by unknown gunmen and investigations have commenced to unravel the crime. Maimuna Garba reports.
The victim of an assassination-style killing was identified as Joseph Aga, former vice chairman of Maiduguri Timber Shed, who had lived and worked in Maiduguri for over 30 years. His usual stop to buy some items at a busy local shopping area in his locality ended with unknown assailants firing several gunshots into him. The unexplained killing led to mourners and concerned residents to stage a peaceful protest demanding justice. At the scene of the crime, Shagari low-cost housing estate in Maiduguri, eyewitnesses lament the loss of their fellow resident, Joseph Aga, popularly known as Aga City. They explained that the nearby market known as Kasuam Fara, where grasshoppers is sold, operates during the evening and attracts all sorts of criminal elements, allowing the assassins to operate and make their escape.
That is why he demolished all those protests, but yet they have come back again. The place that were demolished has come back again. They rebuilt it and they are functioning. We are pleading to His Excellency to come to our aid.
Back at the Luma Yard, where late Mr. Aga is known to have over 50 apprentices currently working under him, chairman of the Workers' Association, as well as friends and colleagues who have known the deceased for several decades, could not hide their sorrow. The Lumber Shades Workers united to produce a casket for Mr. Aga as the spokesman Borno State Police Command, ASP Sani Kamilu Mohammed, confirmed investigation has commenced into the homicides. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
You're watching Weekend File on the NTA Network Service. Time for our first break. To stay with us.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Millions of Nigerians have received COVID-19 vaccine. I have taken my own. What about you? We have taken our own. What about you? I am strong and healthy. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? We are strong and healthy. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Go get, go and get your job. The hospitals, churches, and the mosques. Go and get your job. Health centers, hurry up now. Don't be late. Go and get your job. Bye-bye, Corona. Bye-bye, Corona. This message is brought to you by the National Primary Health Care Development Agency, NPHCDA.
There are certain moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind and indulge.
Now available in 30 grams and 450 grams.
Sometimes before I step on stage, my mind gets clouded. But that's when I know it's time to take that deep, Some cooling breath.
Oh boy.
You know, I know you're making up the truth. Why can't I go before I lose my cool? I know you even that's the difficult.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust. Try Panadol tablets. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet absorbs quickly and starts providing fast and effective pain relief you can trust. Try Panadol tablets.
My son has always dreamt of being in the spotlight. That's why I give him Born Vita for everyday vitality that gives him the strength to pursue his dreams. Born Vita, strength to dream.
If you've been called to host the game show, it's only right to know how it's played. In this game, only one thing is constant. Fun! Win some and lose some. But you can make it a motivation to win the next challenge. You have to be fast and always be right. But nonetheless, you will have lots of fun. I'm Hero Daniels. See you on Don't Play Naija, showing Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays only on African Magic Urban and Family.
Welcome back to Weekend File. Lack of clear-cut autonomy of local government is seen as a major challenge militating against effective administration of this tier of government. The ongoing constitution amendment, however, provides avenue to alter this anomaly. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Gunshala in this report puts the issue in perspective.
So I want to the debate around local government autonomy has been on over the years, as that tier is believed to have the capacity to impact on the citizens in the rural areas, but the heavy weight of state governments are said to have stifled them. The present alteration of the 1999 Constitution by the National Assembly has again brought issues of financial and administrative autonomy for local government councils up for discourse. Today, local government system is in the pocket of few. In fact, the allocation to local government has become pocket money for the boys.
We want full autonomy, but that autonomy must be jealously guarded. Then there are also control mechanisms to ensure that the office is not abused like in the past.
I think the system requires autonomy financially, the local government. But in terms of the administrative autonomy, please know, we must be able to check.
In the current exercise, the first and second bill of the 68 items listed for alterations are dedicated to local government, underscoring the expectation that if passed, the third tier of government will be more responsible and responsive to the aspirations of the people.
The system provides a platform for people to grow in terms of leadership.
The National Assembly has done the needful. The State Assembly too, they should be compelled to do the needful. Whoever is holding the local government not to perform its functions, they should please beg them to allow the local government to function.
Parts of the alterations recognize the mandatory 3 years term as local government tenure of office through an election, failure of which must not be recognized by any authority. The alteration also seeks to maintain local government council allocation account into which shall be directly paid allocations. In Abuja, Dayo Gunshala, NTA News.
The last 2 decades have witnessed a setback in rural development due to inadequate funding to councils to enable them carry out their statutory obligations given the establishment of state and local governments joint account allocation. This led to agitations for local government autonomy. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ayimiro examines the benefits of these developments if passed into law.
To erode the financial autonomy of local government was the import of Section 162, which says appropriation of public funds to local government shall be through joint account allocation committee. The drafter of the concern never emphasized that we will have state political actors that will go after local government fund with impunity, divert it, misapply it, misuse it.
Misappropriation of local government funds has been a major issue in the administration of the councils. Before the amendment of the 1999 Constitution, the local governments were politically and financially autonomous to the extent that rural-urban migration was not fashionable due to access to basic amenities of life. In the last 2 decades, the rural areas have become unattractive due to decay in infrastructural provision, where councils are no longer in charge of the finances.
In the 80s, around 84 to around 89, we were military government under Babangida. Local government, as an autonomous body, was able to provide a lot of services, served as a development center to Nigeria.
Councils at the Federal Capital Territory are the only ones enjoying direct release of federal allocation, which makes it easy for them to function well.
Anything that got to do with taking away what belongs to the local council from the federation allocation, it means there is that financial autonomy already in place in the Federal Capital Territory, because nobody has ever tampered with a kobo by this FCT administration that supervises the area council.
Another problem is the conduct of the local government election across the states, where elections are usually won by parties in power, except the FCT. Should the amendment of the Constitution remove states from conducting council elections?
The National Assembly haven't done their part. They will have done much more for this country by asking the independent National Electoral Commission to be in charge of conducting the local council selection across the state.
During the 8th Assembly, the National Assembly voted in favor of local government autonomy, but was rejected by the state assemblies. The 9th Assembly has passed the bill again. The ball is now in the court of the state assemblies, which is another hurdle to be crossed. Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
We'll be joined in the studio by Professor Yusuf Alezokar, a professor of political science with specialization in policy analysis and development studies, Department of Political Science and International Relations, Faculty of Science, Social Science, University of Abuja. Professor Zokar, you're welcome to Weekend Final tonight.
Thank you.
Now, this issue of autonomy for local governments in Nigeria have lingered on for many years, and we understand that it is not in the interest of the nation as a federal state not to have a viable or functional local government administration system. What are we looking at?
Well, what we're looking at now is that it is being hoped that the current autonomy bill that has already been passed by the National Assembly will receive the 2/3 majority that is required for it to be passed into law, so that the constitution can be amended, and then the local governments will have a lease of life. Because when you look at what has been happening to local governments in Nigeria, you will see that the local governments have been hijacked by the state governors. All of the governors, majority of them, we will not say all, majority of them don't allow local governments to operate the way they should be operating. They hijack their funds and use it for their own benefits, and that doesn't allow for the developments that we're expecting to take place at that level to be seen, to be manifestly seen that it is really taking place. And that's why you will find every person looking up at the federal government, virtually forgetting even about the existence of the states and the local governments. They are completely hijacked. And there is need really, because the majority of the people live, they work and die at that level. And so therefore, there is the need to ensure that the local governments are functioning to be able to cater for some of the basic necessities that should have been provided, by, the government, so that it will allow the people also to, it will release their creative energies, and you will see a lot of progress and development taking place at that level of government. But that doesn't happen to be the case as it is currently.
But then, normally, what should be the gains of a robust local government system in Nigeria were it to be autonomous?
You see, the first thing we have to even do is that, you have some of these local governments are in urban centers. Some are in rural areas. We should be able to separate the two and ensure that, because the functions assigned to them is virtually the same. So you cannot give the same functions to an urban local government to be the same with the rural local government. They have different needs. They have different, challenges. And so therefore, we have to ensure that, there is that clear distinction first. Then what are some of the benefits we expect to see if the local governments are really functioning?
Exactly.
For instance, that we're talking about the establishment of primary, secondary, and vocational training centers at the local government level. So just imagine that local governments are receiving funds and they have vocational training centers where people can be trained into they can acquire skills which they can use, to start up maybe a small business that will help them. You can also just imagine that there's some kind of integration of agric with industry so that we can be able to produce some. You go to most of these local communities. If you just take the issue of one local government, one product, and one industry, strategy that has been adopted by other countries and they've developed. And we have in our country, there's no area that doesn't have any product that it can produce, agricultural product that can be used, that be converted into a finished good that can be sold. And a lot of, activities will be, derived along the chain of that product. But you see, we're not doing that. We've gone to a factory in China where they were converting Irish potato into noodles. And we have a lot of Irish potato here. Nobody's thinking about it. We just fry it. At once we get it into some chips and that's all. But you can just imagine, the kind of activities that will be created along that line. And you don't need sophisticated machines because what we saw with our eyes are very locally made machines that are being used. And we have a lot of such, places that we can fabricate some of these machines locally and use them for our own development. So I think we will see a lot of benefits if, for instance, you have functional clinics that can take care of issues about childbirth. And the mothers are properly taken care of, and they have facilities that will cater for that. That will help, ensuring that even the children that are being given birth to in Nigeria are able to, live. But now with all of this completely absent, then you have all sorts of problems about maternal mortality, all these, child-related diseases that don't allow them to grow beyond the age of 5. They die, at infancy. So we will be able to at least ensure that
record about this.
And then we'll have some developments that we can see, we can feel, we can touch. And most of the problems that we're seeing today will disappear into the thin air. All these problems we are seeing, all this insecurity and all, it's as a result of the fact that at the local government level, funds have been taken away by the governors. They refuse to allow activities to go on there.
Okay. All right, let's go on break. We're discussing the expected gains of local government autonomy in Nigeria. Stay with us on Weekend File.
don't have time. We don't have stories. But only the best will make Globe Battle of the Year Nigeria. The search for Africa's most creative dance talent.
The judges of Nigerian Idol, Season 7 already. The stage is set, and now it's time for you to impress.
Nigerian Idol Season 7, showing every Sunday on Africa Magic Urban and Family. Proudly sponsored by Biggie Drinks, Nigeria's favorite, and Binance. Exchange the world.
Our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque, please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If we want a stable society before, during, and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
The local government autonomy, if implemented, will revive the true essence of grassroots development, especially in a place like Lagos. This was the view of some political analysts while reviewing the current situation of the third tier of government in Lagos State. Keida DBC has details.
Lagos State's 20 local government areas were supplemented in 2003 with the establishment of 37 local council development areas. These entities were not statutorily approved by the National Assembly, but the Supreme Court judgment ruled that the creation of the LCDAs was valid but developing. One of the reasons for the establishment of the additional local council development areas by the state government was to expand infrastructural development and create more access to the people, since the third tier of government depends on the state government for its allocation. Achieving the mandate of bringing governance closer to the people has been an uphill task, as the local government and local council development areas are unable to meet their financial obligation.
Most of the functions of local government were whittled down. There were a lot of interferences in some of the areas. They're supposed to have generate some revenue. The state government took over those areas.
There seemed to be a light at the end of the tunnel, as both chambers of the National Assembly voted in favor of the local government administrative autonomy, granting total financial independence to the third tier of government.
We're hoping that that effectiveness we saw in times back shall return and more, because it's the closest. And when you neglect the closest set of this closest component of governance that is close to the people, it means the people will have to wait longer time.
It is expected that when fully implemented, local government administration in Nigeria will be strengthened to function independently in carrying out its obligations and in turn contribute to the nation's GDP. In Lagos, Kendi Adebisi, NTA News.
The autonomy of local government in Nigeria, when granted and fully implemented, will serve as a shock absorber to the burden currently on the second tier of government. This is the view of political scientists and analysts who spoke to our correspondent, Yanahaso Hassan, in Kano.
Kano is the state with largest number of local government areas in Nigeria, numbering 44. With 8 of them situated within the metropolitan city. Does the number of local councils reflect the development of the state? This is the question I posed to a political economist and a political scientist.
certain functions that should be devolved to each tier of government so that you now take it to the next level, which is administratively, if you don't have autonomy, the other government will not function very well.
If all the 44 local governments of the state would embark on projects, it means simultaneously the state will be seen as many number of projects as possible. That will mean it will translate economically into a lot of things for the state, benefits for the state.
Although the present administration at both federal and state levels accord priority to local government areas outside the city in the areas of health, education, agriculture, and human capital development, Professor Kamil Salefage says the current security challenges bedeviling the country and the fight for elected positions at the national level is as a result of lack of autonomy to the third tier of government.
So that is why there should be devolution of power, there should be autonomy to local governments.
The granting of independence to the third tier, he believes, is the surest way to societal, economic, and political development. In Kano, Yahana Sahasa, NTA News.
All right, we still have Professor Yusuf Ali Zoka, Professor of Political Science, with us in the studio. Let's talk about judiciary and legislature at this moment, because we are aware that local government system is enshrined in the 1999 Constitution. But when the NGF, the Nigerian Government Forum, went to court against NFIU, till today, we haven't seen an end to the matter of local government autonomy emancipation. Does it mean that we have somewhat of a weak judiciary to that effect?
It's not as if that the judiciary is weak. I think the president's attempt to ensure that local governments were getting their money directly was not constitutional. You know, because within the constitution you have this joint account that the money is supposed to pass through, and that is where the governors, who are also expected to bring, you know, their own internal revenue into that post before distribution, they don't do that, and then what is being brought in by the federal government, they take part of it. What they do is to ask them to sign that these projects have already been executed in their local councils, and therefore they actually share the money. And that's why when you go to most local governments in Nigeria, activities there are very low. But once allocation comes, then they assemble. When they finish the distribution, they all disappear. You hardly find them, you know, at the local government councils. And that's why even the revenue that's supposed to be generated internally is not also being done. People are supposed to be paying tenement rate for, you know, houses and all that. They don't have even the mechanisms to be able to generate that revenue. And most times when this revenue is even being generated, it ends up in private pockets. No accountability. And you cannot be running a democracy without good governance. You won't get anywhere. You must be transparent, you must be responsive, you must show that, you know, you obey the rule of law. Several other things, accountability, transparency. You must make sure, you know, that you try to give that. If you are not, you know, responsive, you are not accountable, you are not transparent in the way you run the affairs of the council, there's no way development will come into that local environment.
But having seen what the present administration has done to give autonomy to the local government in terms of its finances, even though it seems to have hit a certain brick wall, what do you advise as a learned person in this profession?
You know, for me, I think because you see, there's this nonchalant attitude by the assemblies. Why should they not be interested in deepening democracy? Why should they not have interest in deepening democracy? They should have interest in deepening democracy. And if resources will be freed and it will be available, you know, at the local level, that would generate a lot of activities at that level. And all these problems we are seeing of insecurity, of lack of employment, all those type of issues will disappear. You know, but when you are not, they don't want to pay attention to, you know, that level. And I think they should pay attention to it. It's not the responsibility of NFC to be going around, you know, intimidating them before they do their jobs. I think they should also, they are Nigerians, they should be patriotic, that there's a need at this time in our development. The world is not waiting for us. most countries that have taken, the steps to correct themselves by ensuring that they are a little bit free from Western dominance, they've tried to, enhance, their own system by looking inwards and seeing what they can do to build, their own system. And I think the National Assembly should not just think that this is just a normal, activity that they will do, and at the end of the day, they don't get the thing through. I don't think Nigerians will be happy with them. They should ensure. Also, the State House of Assembly, we know that the problem the State Houses of Assembly are having is the problem of they are under the armpits of the governors, and they are likely to do the bidding of the governors, and that is the problem. Even though they are also supposed to be enjoying their own independence, because there's the proposal that they should have direct funding for the State House of Assembly, for the judiciary, so that all these arms will have some level of autonomy, and then they can be able to now liberate themselves from the control, of the governors, and then they can now be able to, tackle the governors at the state level, and they can also be able to supervise, the local governments, because part of what the state governments are supposed to be doing, assembly, is to also assign functions to the local governments. I know because the society is dynamic and things are changing, we cannot continue to say that these functions are assigned to them. Nobody has ever said that in this current dispensation that we're in, we're going to be battling with the problem of banditry, battling with the problem of kidnapping, and all those type of problems. And you have new crimes coming up every day.
All right.
Yeah. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.
You've landed so well. Thank you for coming on Weekend File, Professor Yusuf Ali Zoka. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We've been talking with Professor Ali Zoka, Professor of Political Science with specialization in policy analysis and development studies. Of course, he is of the Department of Political Science and International Relations, Faculty of Social Science, University of Abuja. Let's go for our last commercial break on Weekend File.
I know that in the last decade, this country has been at different wars trying to keep the peace and promote the sovereignty and the integrity of the country. The troops are doing their best. The president has given them all the necessary tools. It is left for us as young people and as Nigerians to give them all the support we can. We say kudos to all our gallant military men. Please, whenever you see a police officer in or out of uniform, if you know them, clap for them whenever they need. Give them seats in buses and trains and airplanes. Have the airline managers reduce air tickets for them or train tickets for them. Show them that we appreciate what they do and show their families that there is something right and honorable and truly remarkable about wearing a uniform and going into the bushes and the forest to fight enemies of this country that are hell-bent in bringing your life to an end. It's a very tough time, but we have to all put our hands together. Please support our troops and support our police officers.
Up next is sports with Enejo Adiku.
After successfully hosting the African Junior and Cadet Fencing Championship for the second time, the Nigerian Fencing Federation believes that the foundation has laid for the growth and development of the sport in the country. Speaking at the end of the competition, which was won by Egypt, President of the Nigerian Fencing Federation, Samuel Adeyinka, says it will take advantage of its cordial relationship with Egypt to get more technical support to develop the game in the country.
One of the good things that we do have is a bilateral agreement with Egypt, so that allows them to also support us where they can send in some of their strong athletes.
In football, some matches in the Nigerian Professional Football League, Remo Stars lost 0-1 to Niger Tornadoes in Mina, while People's Elephant, Enyiba Football Club, was held to 1-1 draw by Plateau United in Aba. In the English League, Brighton lost at home 0-2 to Liverpool Football Club as Liverpool cut down the gap between them and league leaders Manchester City to 6 points. Brentford had a 2-0 win over relegation-bound Burnley at the Community Stadium in Brent. The Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, has described the death of the A's broadcaster Fabio Lanipeku as a colossal loss to the authority and sporting fraternity. The management team of the NTA Lagos Network Center, led by the Zonal Director, Nick Oyisi, who delivered the message of the Director General of NTA during a condolence visit to the widow and family of late Pa Fabio Lanipeku at their Magodo residence in in Lagos, described the late sports broadcaster as the pioneer of sports journalism in NTA and Nigeria at large.
Somebody who laid a very strong foundation for the NTA sports department, and from whom all of us have everything to learn from.
In fact, it was a surprise to me when I saw the team that came to commiserate with us. We thank the management of NTA for deeming it worthy for Fabio's family to be visited.
With sports update, Ojo Adiku, NTA News.
Let's take the weather forecast for Sunday.
This satellite imagery shows dust concentration across the north and north-central region of the country, as observations reports deterioration in horizontal visibilities across the northern cities, as low as 100 meters over Nguru in Yobe and 200 meters over Dutse in Jigawa states. So the forecast for Sunday, thick to moderate dust haze is expected over the north and north-central region of the country, with visibility ranging from 1,000 meters to 3,000 meters. And localized visibility of less than 1,000 meters. The southern cities are expected to have patches of clouds in a hazy atmosphere, with prospects of morning thunderstorms to parts of Cross River, the coastal parts of Ogun and Lagos states. The bulk of the weather activities are expected over the southern cities later in the day. I'm Theodora Itu. Thank you for watching.
And that's Weekend File on the NTA network service. Many thanks to you for watching. And do be a star with the NTA. Stand against rape and rapists in our society. My name is Kenan Ima Abodike. Good night.